know about you guys, but I can't think of a more iconic duo than Red and Stanley. I mean, these guys are pretty much inseparable, and they have been for the last 50, 60 years, you know? Stanley is obviously just a statue, but Red, he thinks of him as a friend. You know, he's always watering the flowers around him and just making sure he's shining bright, looking good. If he gets some dirt or grime on him, Red will wash it off, you know? They're buddies. That's what they are, Red and Stanley. And they've been together in two packs for the longest time, ever since the good old days in 2006 when they first did the two pack. Red was obviously a lot smaller back then because they didn't have a deluxe line yet. And they did that two pack pretty much, I think, every single year leading up until the day that Red had to become a deluxe. They sized him up, made him more accurately scaled to how he looks like in cars. And, well, from that day on, that sad day in 2010, the two weren't in two packs together anymore. It really is sad when you put it that way, you know? I feel bad for poor Stanley. The guy isn't even alive, and the one friend he had, which was Red, can't even have him anymore. But that all changes, guys, right now because we have a brand new two pack of Red and Stanley. So welcome on back to the Cars Garage, everyone. I mean, how cool is this? All these years later, 13 to be exact, we finally have the new version of the Red and Stanley 2-pack. I mean, there was like at least 4 or 5 versions of it before back in the day, and it's just so cool to have an updated version of it. Obviously, Mattel has brought it back for 2023 in 2023 2-packs case R, and actually they brought it back again for 2024 now. I actually just found this updated looking packaging version of the two pack about, I don't know, a few weeks ago now, probably. But I'm going to be opening up the 2023 version because I actually already have a second one right here. I actually thought it was kind of a rare two pack for 2023. That's why I had it for a while and I just didn't open it and review it because I never actually had Stanley opened up before. So I thought it'd be a nice one to review and unbox for you guys. But I waited because I couldn't find one to open up, and now I finally have one. Got it from Walmart.ca. So yeah, there's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyways, though, Red has his classic artwork there. Looks very nice. It's pretty small, obviously, because this is one of the bigger two packs because it's a big old bubble blister, as I like to call it. Obviously, not the airtight blister like they would normally do for Cars Diecast these days. Try to save on plastic and cost and, you know, help save the environment and all that. Not really. But you know, it just looks cool to see a big old chunky blister for a two pack. It's not something we can say that we see every day because usually they don't do this. They also did it for the Jeremy and Chiefest two pack, and it looks like they're going to be doing it even more in 2024. So that's cool. You know, it's kind of the only way they can do deluxes these days because obviously they canceled the deluxe line in 2022. Unfortunately, well, after 2022, 2023 is when technically they didn't make them anymore. But yeah, pretty cool. Nice artwork of Stanley up there, looking pretty goofy. He's just a statue, of course. He is the town founder of Radiator Springs, and I can't believe I've never opened him up before. I've never had this guy opened up. Pretty astonishing. This is actually a new Thailand variant, of course, new for 2023, so that's cool. And I like how they're on the Radiator Springs background too. Definitely nice. It's a great presentation. I prefer the 2024 one because I guess more red looks a little better, but they're both nice. On the back, nothing really going on, just says as seen in Cars, and we have the original small version of Red for the stock image there. Same with the Stanley. That's his old stock image from China. But yeah, really no other cars to show, unfortunately. I wonder if there's any on the back of the 2024 one. Yeah, there is. They got Evan, Cranks, and Greta, and then McQueen and Sally. So that's nice. They updated the card back, but yeah, I guess that's it for the packaging, guys. Without any further ado, let's bust open this Red and Stanley 2-pack so I can finally have Stanley all opened up. Wow, this really is like a two-pack straight out of the Cars movie. Red and Stanley. So nice together. Nice to see them back in a two-pack together, finally, because when you really think about it, they did the two-pack originally in 2006. Pretty sure they did it like every single year after that until 2009. And then 2010, they introduced the deluxe line, so they just had no reason to put Red in a two pack with Stanley anymore. And also, he wouldn't fit because, they just never really raised up blisters back then for two packs like they do now because obviously they don't have a deluxe line anymore. But yeah, the only other time we saw Stanley, other than those few times in the beginning years of Cars Diecast from Mattel, was in 2016. They decided to do him in a two pack with Lizzie, and I completely forgot about that two pack, to be honest. I never found it, so I'm sure that's why I never ended up getting Stanley, because I was a bit too young back in the day. Like, I started collecting cars in 2009, and I never found the original Red and Stanley two pack, so, I'm assuming I never found the 2016 one with Lizzie and Stanley either. Because if I would have, I'm sure I would have picked up Stanley. Because even though he is technically just an accessory made of plastic, I think he's really awesome looking. I mean, can I even call him a he? I guess just it, because it's really just a statue. But still, I think, it resembles Stanley's ghostly presence, I guess. I don't know. It's just cool. It's cool to see. And I think they did a really good job with this statue. Like, it actually looks metal even though it's not, or at least the actual car portion of the statue does look metal, to me at least. The bottom portion, it's just hollow, but is what it is. We'll take a look at that later on, but first, I think we'll start off with Red, who is a pretty big boy. We'll put the statue back there with Lizzie, put the two lovebirds together. But yeah, Red, the town fire engine in Radiator Springs. Who doesn't love him? He actually never speaks one word in the entire Cars franchise, but he is known for crying his eyes out and getting very emotional over, well, pretty much anything, but especially when one of his friends has to leave or when somebody insults his town, because he loves his town and he really loves to water all the town's flowers. He's always making sure those flowers have all the water they need with his good old fire hose. Unfortunately, though, with this diecast of Red, I don't know, it's just there's so much plastic on it. You really can't tell like the color in the front and the back pretty much is seamless. Like, they look the exact same, to be honest. So props to Mattel there, but you can really tell when you pick them up. He kind of like leans down towards the front because obviously the front portion, this whole Ed area, is completely made of metal. Did I say Ed? Sounded like that song. The voice inside my head. I'm gonna stop. But anyways, the whole back section here is completely made of plastic, and yeah, I don't know. You can tell. You can definitely tell. Not by the color so much, but just by the weight of them. And it is what it is. That would be a lot of metal if they actually made all that metal on the back. Like, at least the red parts. I mean, not the silver parts and the ladder and the hoses and stuff, but I don't know. It would be nice. It would be nice. Anyways, here is some images of where Red appears at in the first Cars movie. We first see him when McQueen is coming into town at full speed and he takes Stanley statue hostage on his rampage through the town, and Red just gasps and he just is shocked because nothing like that has ever happened in the little town of Radiator Springs. And then, yeah, we just see him all throughout the movie, of course. Most times he's crying when he's around McQueen, at least, because, he's upset with him for ruining his flowers and the town road and Stanley's statue. Well, I guess he didn't really harm the statue, but everything else he pretty much tore up pretty good in the little town. But Red does forgive him later on. He never really uses his words, though, so McQueen never really gets to give him a full apology. But I just love Red's character. Even though he doesn't speak, we can still get a great sense of what he's feeling most times because of, his crying meltdowns or just his expressions on his face or even just his movements. He's a very expressive character even though he doesn't speak. But he still does have a voice actor, or he did in the first Cars movie. That was Joe Ranft. And Cars was actually dedicated to Joe Ranft because he actually died in a car crash just a year before the first Cars movie's release on June 9th, 2006. He died in August of 2005. I never knew that before. I always wondered who Joe Ranft was and why they dedicated the movie to him, but it makes sense now because not only did he voice Red and many other Pixar characters too, but he also worked behind the scenes on like screenplay and stuff like that. So, I mean, how sad is that? He never even got to watch the movie he played a big part in creating. I mean, that really hits you hard. I never knew that before. So I was looking up information about Red and I read that and I'm like, oh, that's who Joe Ranft is. How did I not know that? But anyways, after Joe died, and they wanted to make a second Cars movie and a third Cars movie and Cars on the Road and all that. You know, they eventually just hired his brother Jeremy Ramp to voice Red. I think he only really actually makes sounds in Cars 2, though. He really doesn't speak or make really any sounds in Cars 3 or on the road. Or I don't even think any of the Cars 2 shorts, except for that one little short that Red pretty much stars in called Bugged. Remember that one? When he is trying to shoo away the little fly. That was a funny one. He just makes sounds. He never speaks in that short either. What was it called? Oh, Tale from Radiator Springs. I was going to call it a Pixar popcorn short, but no. Anyways, though, Red, he is a 1950s Chorky fire engine, and he looks pretty darn nice, of course, as you can see. I love good old Red. I need to zoom it out a little bit more, though. He's too big to be that zoomed in. Nice expression, though. No plastic eye plate, thank goodness, because if he had a plastic eye plate, that would really bring down his weight, because, like I said, the whole back section already is full of plastic. But his eyes are kind of blurry, to be honest. When compared next to the Chinese version, yeah, definitely a downgrade there. Oh well, he does have the addition of the little like eyelid shadow for his eyelids there, so I guess that's kind of cool. Makes him look a little bit more realistic to how he looks in the Cars movies. But yeah, the whole front face is pretty much the same expression, same mouth, just kind of Thailandified. You can see his teeth there and his old school looking headlights. Very cool fire engine. You don't see them like this anymore, that's for sure. Got plastic mirrors there, actually kind of rubbery. They're pretty soft. And unfortunately, these are all like plastic inserts on top. I just never really cared for all those little things on Red. Like, I feel like the siren and like the little nozzle there for the hose, like, they could be more detailed probably. It's like they just tried to compress them all together. Kind of like what they do with Sheriff. They never put his things in the back, his antennas. So it's just like they just try to simplify all those more finer details on these old school cars like Red and Sheriff, and it sucks. I mean, this is like the worst part, probably the like hoses on the side that he has, because they just kind of like cut them in half pretty much, and kind of like, I guess they're kind of circular on the back, but I don't know. I just never been a big fan of all those things on Red. They just make him look cheap, and it's just not that great. But if you want a really nice Red, I have to recommend the Precision Series Red. That one is phenomenal. I never reviewed him yet. I do hope to review him one day. Got him a long time ago from Amazon, like 2 years ago probably now, and I wanted to review him, and I don't know why I never did. I guess it's because the way you open it is with the screwdriver, and I just am too lazy to go into the back shed to grab a screwdriver, I guess. I should review him one day, though, and compare him with this one, because I guarantee you it's eons better than this one. But this one's alright, just for a 155 scale classic deluxe Mattel diecast. He does have his Radiator Springs Fire Department logo and badge on the side, so that's pretty nice. Radiator Springs text back there, and then all of the little like turn dials and buttons and hoses, nozzles, all that kind of stuff on the side there. Very nice and reflective, though. I gotta hand it to them there. I feel like it's slightly better than the Chinese one. All the silver pieces, but the rims are much worse. Like, look how bright they are on this Chinese one. And then look at that. They're just more grainy on this one. The front rim isn't that bad, but the back rim is awful. Just look at the insides of it. That's really bad. Even some of the trim is not even colored red, so kind of a downgrade there, but whatever. His ladder looks pretty good. The Precision Series one, though, actually, like, the ladder unfolds, so it is so cool. This part, like, it actually comes off the nozzle there where the water comes out. All these parts, like, stand up, it's just so much more intricate. This one kind of, I don't want to say sucks, because I like red, but still, it kind of does, to be honest. It's just, the quality isn't there, but it is cheaper, obviously. A lot of plastic, too. Anyways, the license plate has the 002 digits there and the carburetor cap mountain decal on it, which is pretty cool. Just like Sheriff, they pretty much had the same license plate, but Sheriff's is 001 and Red's is 002 because he's the fire engine and Sheriff's the sheriff, of course. So reflective, though. He has his little bell in the back that would ring whenever there's a fire, I'd assume, at least. We never heard it ring, though. I'd like to hear how that sounds. In fact, have we ever really heard Red's engine? like his fire siren. I don't think we ever have heard that before. We've heard his horn, but we never really heard his siren sound before. I don't think so, at least. Anyways, this side is pretty much the same. No plastic window inserts. They're just metal and painted on. I feel like maybe it should have a back window, but I'm not sure. Never really looked at the back of Red before, so I can't say, but maybe, maybe not. Oh well, pretty nice. I don't care for the rims. That's a downgrade there. I wish the back portion was actually metal, not plastic, but whatever. It was like that before, so you can't really complain with that, I guess. S09A is the date stamp, so the 9th week of 2023 he was made. Very nice. Came out of 2-packs case R, I think. Yep. And then, yeah, very nice silver base. Very reflective. I like it a lot. The double tires in the back, single tires in the front. Pretty cool. Nice die cast for sure. But, you know, on the cheaper side, a lot of plastic. So I don't really care for those parts on him, but I guess he's not a horrible diecast after all. Here he is next to the original Chinese version of him. No, not the original. Obviously, the original was much smaller, but this is the one from Cars 2. In fact, what year is he from? Let's find out from the date stamp. Wherever it is, I don't even see a date stamp at all. Where the heck did it go? He doesn't have a date stamp. What in the world? He actually doesn't, guys. He does not have a date stamp. I've never seen that before. Unless it's hidden on me, but I think it's like a 20, probably 14, 15 red. Red's been released pretty much every single year. But yeah, the main differences are really just, I don't know, I feel like the silver pieces on them are a little bit more reflective and shiny, so that's cool. Definitely an upgrade there. The eyes are pretty much completely blurred out, so that really sucks. That's a downgrade. The decals on the side, I mean, I feel like they're pretty good on both. Maybe less outlined in black on the Thailand one. The rims are definitely worse, although quality control, I guess, isn't really that great on this one either. It's like they got red paint. A little too much on the black parts of the tires. But yeah, the red all around, this one's like almost like coming off for some reason there. It's like separating from the silver. That's weird. I feel like it's more cloudy on this one, less of like a bright red, but still pretty cool. Same license plate, maybe a bit more whited out on this one, like all the white letters. I think they're a bit more white, but I don't know. I'm just looking for differences. I don't really see too many. The plastic pieces are definitely more of like a silvery gray on the Thailand one, so I guess that's an upgrade. But I don't know. I guess a few upgrades, like the added silver effects on them, and then there's a few downgrades as well, like the eyes and the rims. But anyways, now it's time to take a quick look at Stanley here, the main man himself. Of course, he's a Ford Model T. He is the founder of Radiator Springs, of course, and that's what his statue here says. It says Stanley, our founder, 1909. Wow, over 100 years ago. Not quite when Cars came out in 2006, but still pretty close. I'll show you where Stanley appears at now, though, in the first Cars movie. He's obviously just a statue, so he doesn't speak or anything like that in the movie, but we do get to see him in quite a few of the Radiator Springs scenes, just far off in the background. Sometimes when Red is watering the flowers around his statue, or even one in the end, I remember. One very specific scene is when Lizzie comes and pulls up next to him when all the cars are driving down Main Street in the neon lights, and she says, "Oh, how I wish you could have seen this," or something like that to him. And it's just a sad scene because, you see Flo and Ramon driving with each other. You see McQueen and Sally, the two lovebirds, driving with each other down the road. And then Lizzie she just has no one, Stanley's gone. And who knows how long he's been gone for. Like, probably 60 years before Cars even takes place in 2006. Because honestly, he wasn't in the 50s flashback that we see of Radiator Springs. So it makes me wonder, when and how did Stanley die? Because he couldn't have been all that old, unless maybe he was. Maybe, yeah, I guess maybe he was like 30 or something years old when he founded the town in 1909. But I don't know. Lizzie's obviously quite a bit younger than him because she's a 1927 Ford Model T, whereas Stanley, he's actually not even a Ford Model T. I always thought he was, but he's actually a made-up brand of car by Pixar called the McVaporlock Motor Co. Locomobile, which actually makes sense because the Ford Model T wasn't made until 1908. So if he founded a town in 1909, then how could he be a Model T? That wouldn't really make all that much sense. But anyways, yeah, this statue, is pretty nice. Definitely one of the nicest accessories we've ever gotten from Mattel. Just hollow in the inside, so that kind of sucks. But the actual car portion is pretty nice. Kind of like the same size as like a mini racer. But I like it a lot. It's got some goofy proportions on it, like his eyes. Very wonky looking expression. You can see Stanley's big old gold tooth there, and his head is like leaning upwards towards the left there. His left or right. It looks cool. Very nice. Definitely not like how we see him when he is alive in the time travel Mater short. Definitely a little bit more goofy looking, but definitely emulates what Stanley looked like in that short. So I like that a lot. That is one of the coolest cartoon shorts ever because we actually get to see Stanley build the Radiator Springs from the ground up, just from a radiator spring that he found. And that is why he makes the town there in the first place, because it's a hot, dry deserts in Arizona, and there's just no water for miles. And, cars need to cool off. They need a drink. They need to cool off their radiator caps. So that's why Mater suggests to Stanley, build a town right here where you found this here Radiator Spring. And that's why he calls the town Radiator Springs. Pretty clever, because Stanley was actually heading out to California because he wanted to build some type of business there. But, he decided not to. He decided to stay in Radiator Springs and help the cars there that need to cool down. Anyways, though, the plaque on here pretty simple. It just says Stanley in capital letters, and then our founder, 1909. And then on the top, it's a little grainy, but it is a little image of Carburetor Cat Mountain, the iconic symbol of Radiator Springs, of course. Very cool cobblestone design, though. Almost like a little bit of a sparkle in it, which is nice. This statue is kind of inaccurate, though, because technically, this whole portion on the bottom, the pedestal, it should be longer. It should come out probably like to here, and the statue of Stanley should actually be positioned towards the back, and then there should be room right here for that little rock where the water kind of like spurts out of. So, unfortunately, that's not present on this accessory. It never has been. Even the Chinese one was like this. But kind of sucks because that was kind of the key feature to the statue. It's supposed to look like the radiator spring that Stanley originally found, and that's why he built the town. So, it would have been nice if this accessory kind of resembled that a little bit more. Would have been cool, but whatever. Still very nice. I like all the little details on the actual statue part, and the stonework on the bottom too is very nice. Cool to see Stanley's little carriage in the back where that's where he would store all of his radiator caps because he was a radiator cap salesman. He was trying to build his business. Then he decided to just make it in Radiator Springs. Anyways, though, I don't think I have too much else to say about good old Stanley. There is a date stamp. I didn't even really realize that. It says S09A, so he was made on the ninth week of 2023. Pretty darn cool. I don't believe the Chinese version of this is really all that different, but maybe I'll have to get it one day. Actually, I'd love to get it one day because I really want to get the old red, the underscaled red, just to see how different it is from the newer versions of red. I don't really care for this Thailand variant of red. I think the Chinese one is better, but I think Thailand did a pretty good job with Stanley. It's all just plastic, but honestly, this statue part could actually pass for metal, so that's pretty cool. Do one more little quick comparison of Stanley in his statue form to his alive form. This is the wedding day version of Stanley, so I don't think he would normally have the white tires, but other than that, I think it's pretty much the same as how he would normally look. This is like the most real version of Stanley in his alive form as we can probably ever expect to get. He does have the just married little wooden sign on the back with the little rattling cans too, so it's not just like a complete regular version of Stanley. I guess if you want a regular version in an alive form, you got to get that other one that they did for the Time Travel Mater short. All of these diecasts were exclusive to the Disney parks when they did them in 2013, by the way. But that one, I just don't care for it as much. I don't have it either, but I just don't care for it because it's all brown, and Stanley's not brown. He's supposed to be black, but they did him brown to like look like how he looks like in that short. It's supposed to be like from the early 1900s, so it makes sense. But I do wish that we could have just a more regular version of Stanley in his alive form as a die cast, just to go with Lizzie. It'd be cool, but maybe one day. You never know. Anyways, yeah, I put Spin Out McQueen back there, put Sheriff up here. We got the whole to protect and serve Radiator Springs squad here. We got Red, we got the founder Stanley, And we got the sheriff, of course, as well. Actually, McQueen, you get out of here. You're nothing but trouble. Anyways, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. Let me know what you think of Stanley and Red, of course, too, down in the comments below. I really like Stanley. Red's variant could be a little better, but is what it is. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time right here on the Cars Garage.